Very pleasant. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Appeal Yourself on Demand Monday edition of the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest. We got Mike Lubitz. And Lubie, I hope you had a sensational weekend. There are many things to discuss here. I don't know what order you want to take them in, but I suppose we should start with what was the most debatable topic for the last several weeks and kind of been debated as it always is throughout the season. And that is who belongs and who doesn't. And is there any more sadistic pleasure that you can possibly take than to see Notre Dame get screwed?
Yeah, that
Under
is
the
true.
circumstances, you would have to say that it's not even a reach to suggest for a second that they got hosed in a couple of ways. I mean, they're attacking them from all angles. First, they leave an Alabama team that was shredded by Georgia in the SEC championship game. Now, normally that would be no disgrace. Let's face it, Ohio State lost to Indiana in their Big Ten championship game, and really didn't suffer much. They went from number one to number two. Okay, maybe created a slightly more difficult path. I don't know if that's even a fair statement because they will take on the winner of Miami and Texas A&M, whereas Indiana gets a shot to possibly beat Alabama or Oklahoma. So maybe in a little bit of a stronger spot there in terms of not being challenged. But that was it. That was all it cost them. Now, Alabama loses, though, in convincing fashion to Georgia. And you would have to say, with three losses, how is it possible that they move ahead of these other two lost teams that also had some significant wins? Although Notre Dame's most significant win was over USC, a USC team that always seems to be vulnerable. They did rattle off 10 in a row. They did look better than Alabama in the last 10 games, as Alabama was up and down after getting off to a solid start once they gathered themselves after losing to a very weak Florida State team, Louie.
Yes.
What is your feeling about the whole thing? I mean, look, we're happy for Miami fans. It's always nice to have a local team involved in something like the postseason. You give Mario Cristobal 2 weeks to prepare for anybody, and you've got a pretty good chance that he'll screw it up.
Find a way to lose.
It's a Texas A&M team that just lost to Texas and was like 30 points down to South Carolina before they rallied and won that game by a single digit, preserving their season's integrity and perhaps suggesting that maybe there was an opening there for somebody to come in and knock them from the ranks of undefeated. Texas, disappointing season by most standards, you would have to say. They do exactly that. They handle them in relatively easy fashion. So Miami perhaps catching a fading Texas A&M team while they seem to be surging and coming on in their last couple of games. But what was your feeling about the whole eventual outcome? James Madison gets in. It wasn't like that was an overwhelmingly convincing win over Troy in their conference championship game. I watched some of that ball game. Louie, did you catch any of the action?
A little bit. I tried to watch it. It was just tough for me to get into James Madison and Troy and then Tulane. And what the hell did Tulane?
That was a Friday night offer.
It was hard for me to get into those games. I knew that they had relevance, but it's still James Madison and Tulane. Like, it's just
I watching the same game over and over. That's with the woman in
like my wife, exactly what she said.
No, it's a different game. What are you talking about?
Them both getting in, I don't get. I still don't understand why both of them got in. I didn't watch any of the stuff ever since 2023. I don't watch any of the prognosticators talking about the playoff. I don't want to hear it. I don't feel for anyone getting snubbed because I think if you lose, once you lose, I don't care. And also, there's so much biases involved in the networks that I just don't. Fox can't stand the SEC anymore, and the ESPN that's the only thing that matters. Like, literally, the argument for BYU was not the same as the argument for Alabama, even though they were the same case. They both played in their conference championship game. Actually, BYU only had 2 losses to Alabama's 3. They both lost their conference championship games decidedly. One got in, one didn't. There you go. What do I say? UM had a case. I don't think it was the strongest case. I don't know if Notre Dame got jobbed as much as anyone said.
Well, I mean, they also got flip-flopped.
It's just peculiar.
Criteria came in.
It's just peculiar, the thing that they did to Florida State that year and that they did this year. Like, Notre Dame would win games but move backwards Okay, that's weird. Miami would win games and move up. Okay. Miami went from 18 to now 10 or 12, whatever the hell they are, and won, and it was fine, but nothing was dramatic that they did. BYU made it to the conference championship game, only had 2 losses, and is out. Didn't make it to the conference championship game at all. And the 2 teams that did above them are home, and UM's in. It's there's a lot of question marks. I'm glad fans got their way and are happy, because the ACC cares about but didn't about Florida State, which is weird, especially when Florida State had a much stronger case than has. I'm very confused about all that. I don't know. The whole process to me is ludicrous.
Well, the big difference there is Florida State was part of a 4-team configuration
instead of 12. 100%. Yes.
There were 12 teams. Florida State, there was no way they could have.
Yeah, we would have gotten it.
Yeah.
But it's just
the Alabama bias is clear cut. I mean, that's ridiculous. Notre Dame, though, ranked ahead of Miami the entire time in the CFP.
And won and didn't play at all this week. That's the funny thing, is you can not. That's when they're going to have to correct, is not playing somehow. Like if Miami had played, it would have been worse for them, because they probably lose to Virginia the way that Miami plays. So they wouldn't have gotten in then. But because they didn't play, they did get in. Like
the way to do it.
Making your conference championship game is supposed to be an honor, supposed to be a privilege. If OU makes it instead of Bama, like OU's probably out, because OU probably loses that game to Georgia, and they're out. But because they don't play, they get the benefit of the doubt of barely getting by teams that they look garbage against. They just got really lucky bounces, because OU's not good. They have a nice defense. Their offense is horrendous, and they just skated by ranked teams because they would get like 3 turnovers in the first half and hold on at the end. But because they didn't play in the conference championship game and get that next loss, they are in. The whole system's an utter joke. To me, I don't see. And again, they got Bama in, which was supposed to be the thing that would ruin the conference championship games, but they didn't get BYU in. So, BYU before the conference championship game was in the playoffs. Why play the game? I would sit it out. Why play the conference championship game if it's only going to, it wasn't going to help them, right? They were already in. So it's not going to help them more. It could only hurt them. So, to me, why play a conference championship game? What's the benefit now? Now it literally, it may have definitively got them in, but it may have kicked them out. So they were better served last year. They were better served. I'm just confused at the whole system. Adding 14.
I love the system because it's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah.
It gives us this.
Chaos is what creates all kinds of conversation all throughout the universe of sports talk and sports writing and sports analysis. Makes no sense. I mean, you can't be ranked ahead of the University of Miami in the CFP rankings the entire time that they've been administering these CFP rankings, which begins somewhere around the middle of the season.
It's early,
and you're ahead of them the entire time, and then on the final one, all of a sudden, head-to-head matters, which it should.
It's fine.
The criteria was a little bit insane. If you have the same number of losses and you beat the team head-to-head, all right, you could go quality of losses. In Notre Dame, this was early in the season, which usually doesn't carry as much weight, but fact is, they lost. They lost to the University of Miami. So how, with the same record, they could be ranked ahead of them all this time,
which is weird.
And then at the last second, they go, "Hey, you know what? We didn't notice this. They played already. That's unbelievable." So Miami gets the nod, which should make Miami fans happy, and even doubly so since it came at the expense of Notre Dame. Although it wasn't really Miami that kept Notre Dame out; it was Alabama, and Alabama. You would have to say was an undeserving. They did have some big wins against top teams, but
they had the worst loss of
Florida State. They got
the worst losses. They had the worst
touchdowns. Yeah,
they got dominated. Just because Florida State became ass by game 4, they got dominated by a team that is not even middle of the pack of the worst Power 4 conference. That did happen.
Team that if they had the money, they would have fired a coach a year ago.
Yeah. I mean, Norvell would have been gone. A team that, look, supposedly the word came out that they were trying to sneak in and get Lane Kiffin, which I still don't understand the Lane Kiffin stuff. But, he's a nice coach. He's never made a playoff. He's never made a conference championship game. So I don't, I get it. There was a dearth.
I mean, who's orchestrated the better turnaround?
I know he's the best.
Indiana or Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss? I think about it. what Cignetti did was unbelievable.
Yes, yes.
And that was a good slugfest of a game. No scoring in the second half, and it was still interesting all the way. Ryan Day, I would have to say, if you're going to consider the Cristobal factor,
Yeah,
you have to
he did
consider
it.
Ryan Day syndrome.
He did it again. I mean,
Some
it's either
very
Indiana's
sharp
defense
play
is so
calling.
elite that it forced them out of their game plan, or Ryan Day did it again. And
Yeah.
as I'm watching that game, I'm like, why is Smith never seeing the ball? Like, don't you at the end? Don't you just chuck the dude's 6'4", 230, and has good hands.
Yes.
Like, and he knows how to high point. Don't you just chuck it up? How does he not see the ball once at the end of that game? Like, and I was happy for Indiana, and I was leaning their way because that's a really cool story. Like, I really thought they'd get worked.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
But you're stunned the whole time. That
You're like, what are you doing with this offense? They kept running the ball. I'm like, why are you run? I get you have good running backs. Chuck the ball. Like, look at what you have. Like,
this is a case where you would clearly want to establish the pass to allow you to run the ball later on. And if you couldn't get it to your star guy and they were able to stop him, okay, so be it. But early on, when they got in the so-called red zone, they were inside the 10-yard line. I think they had like a 1st and goal at the 5 or something. They ended up getting no points out of it. Again, a coach abdicating a field goal. I was watching with a couple of diehard Ohio State fans this ball game, and they were mystified by the play calling by the goal line, but they were very much convinced that they had like a 4th and might have been 2.
It was like 2.
And they didn't need the touchdown. They just needed to get to 2 yards, and then they would have had a fresh set of downs from like the 3-yard line if they get to 2 yards.
Yes.
And they go for it. And both of the Ohio State fans that I was with, who seemed to be very knowledgeable about the roster also. So it wasn't like these were fly-by-night fans that just came in because they were in a big playoff game. These guys really knew their stuff. And they were both in favor of, yeah, you have to go for it. That's the Ohio way.
Circle.
So how much did that 3 on the scoreboard change the dynamic later on? When you lose by 3 points and you could have had a go-ahead field goal there at the end of the ball game instead of having to press for a touchdown. And on top of that, it changes a lot of the way that the plays would have been called and the way that you're thinking if you're in a tie game at that stage. So, yeah, did they do the right thing? I mean, look, we talk about it all the time. You have to have a little bit of courage. You don't want to go Tony Sperano, but I would say at least a couple of times a week you look at a ball game, either college or the pros, where a coach decides he's going to go for it. He goes Dan Campbell. He's going to go for it no matter what, and is in field goal range, and maybe only needed to make a yard or 2, and you're thinking, if I can't make 1 yard, then I don't deserve to win this ball game. Okay, Mr. Macho Man. But the truth is the 3 points proved to be invaluable later on. So that was the case certainly with Ohio State and the scoreboard dynamic there. And they end up losing 13-10. Now, it doesn't hurt them too much, except for the fact that, as I said, maybe a slightly more perilous road. What would you rather do? Be taking on the winner of Alabama, Oklahoma, Lubie, or the winner of Texas A&M and Miami, 2 teams that appear to be more dangerous than either of the 2 that Indiana is going to be facing in the second round of the playoffs. So that wraps up with a ton of controversy, a lot of inconclusive info that was factored in, and a very strange feeling, almost as strange as watching Jeff Kent get into the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Oh, he did?
Over Don Mattingly. Yes. Mattingly was finally up with one of these veterans committees, and this was his 19th year that he was eligible to go into the
I
Hall of
get
Fame.
he wasn't elite great. That's the thing. But Jeff Kent wasn't. That's
Jeff
weird.
Kent was far from great. Plus, he was an asshole. I mean, just a known jerk.
Yeah, that's weird. Mattingly's a great guy. Like I don't know. They're hard.
Now, one guy is Donnie Baseball, great ambassador for the game. Also had success later on, which Jeff Kent had nothing to do with, but was named the manager of the year one year, Don Mattingly. Also, before he came to the Marlins, let's not forget, even though it wasn't satisfying for the Dodger fans that he wasn't winning World Series, he did have a successful run as a manager there. Now, could you go and manage the Dodgers, Lubie, and probably have some success?
Probably, yes.
I would think so, right? If you could if you could have a pencil to fill out a lineup card, you could probably pencil in Ohtani and get recognition as one of the great managers of the century. But he did have a post playing career of some significance, and Jeff Kent. look, you can't punish a guy, penalize a guy just for being a jerk off, but that's pretty much the way he was perceived throughout his career. Teammates hated him, fans hated him, everybody hated Jeff Kent. Writers, I would imagine, would not be taking a favorable view of Jeff Kent because he really was one of those guys. It was one thing about Barry Bonds. I don't know that you did a lot of baseball locker room coverage, but
I did a little, and Bonds was fun. Yeah, at the end
especially,
of
I
his
mean,
career.
I'd been doing it my whole life, going all the way back to my days at the Fontana Herald News, going into locker rooms. And I always thought it was kind of a wasted activity. It's good, if you're doing some feature story and you can catch a guy. What was great about baseball, you could grab a guy at the batting cage back in the day. Maybe less so now. You probably have to wait till they come in the clubhouse, but they give you ample opportunity to talk to these players if you have press access. So if you're doing a story, usually before the game is probably the best time to get the kind of material that at least I was looking for in feature stories and things like that. Uh, Jeff Kent, I mean, where Barry Bonds, you couldn't find Barry Bonds. And Matt Williams used to do all the interviews for Bonds when he was with the Giants. Matt Williams, remember Matt Williams, the third baseman,
Yes,
and then he
yes, yes,
became
yes, yes. And
manager, third base coach
with
for a
the
while.
D-backs. Yes.
Great guy. All right. They would sit down. All the people were coming to get something from Bonds. Hey, Barry, you on the juice? Hey, Barry, where are the syringes? Hey, Barry. Now, I understand fully well why Barry Bonds wouldn't want to be out there answering those questions. And he had like a throne in front of his locker, Barry Bonds, and yet it was always empty. Uh, where that was one approach. And okay, so you're not talking to Barry Bonds before a ball game. And probably the likelihood that he's going to be civil to you after the ball game, especially if they lost, was marginal at best. Jeff Kent was just a flaming asshole. I mean, you didn't even want to see the guy in
Yeah.
the locker room. Always was like that with the media. So kind of surprising that he would gain an edge over Don Mattingly, who had a career batting average of 307. Kent statistically not terrible. I mean, you could say that they said this about Don Sutton, that he was just a stat accumulator because he pitched so long, that his 300 wins weren't necessarily as significant as normally that number would be just an automatic. You get into the Hall of Fame. Kent, though, did hit 290 for his career, had 377 home runs. Is that right? 327 home runs, 327. Not a bad number. Uh, I think it's 327. It's either 377 or 327. I can't read my writing here. He did have a great year in 2000, but that was far and away his best year. He never came close to matching these stats. Hit 334 with 33 homers. Jeff Kent, 2000 with the Giants. So I don't know. I mean, did he accumulate enough to be a Hall of Fame? I guess if it wasn't at the expense of Don Mattingly not getting in, and Mattingly didn't even come close in terms of the number of votes. He got less votes from the committee this time than he did the last time he was eligible in front of this similar type of committee. I think they may change the people that are voting. This is voted on by former players, Lubie. So it's not a press thing. Kim Eng, actually, it's players and former executives. Kim Eng was one of the people that was deciding this. I would imagine Mattingly got her vote. But anyway, it's a shame. Donnie Baseball, well deserving of being in the Hall of Fame. Do you think of him as a Hall of Famer? Or do you think, hey, you know who's really a Hall of Famer? That Jeff Kent.
No, no. I mean, look, Ken had a good career, but Ken also drafted in on a lot of guys. Like Ken wasn't the main guy in any of his teams, from what I remember. And whenever he was the main guy, he had issues. Like Mattingly was the main dude. Like I don't know. I know the Yankee team didn't win, and I think Kent won a lot because he was with Barry Bonds. But like, I think of one as the leader, main guy, and I think of the other guy as the second or third best guy on the team. I don't understand. Mattingly, not like Mattingly's a Hall of Famer. I know
He
he got
was
hurt.
also a multi-Gold Glove Award winner.
He was a great player, and he was a leader, and he was consummate pro. I hate the Yankees too, so it's not even a Yankee thing. But like, I get he got hurt early, not early, but halfway through his career, and he wasn't the same after that. Okay, but he was elite when he was there. I don't understand the Mattingly thing. And Jeff Kent doesn't make any sense to me. He's a nice player, but he's not. I never think Jeff Kent Hall of Famer.
Hall of Fame, Jeff Kent.
Yeah, that's weird.
First thing you think of, HOF. Unbelievable. All right, so that was another bizarre bit of decision making that took place with the committee. Inter Miami CF wins
champions.
the MLS championship. Will there be a parade? And if so, where does it take place? What, they march down Sunrise Boulevard? What are we going to be doing?
That would be great. First of all, it should be in Broward for sure. And I don't know where.
Is the MLS Cup as ugly as the actual World Cup is? Because the World Cup may be the worst trophy that was ever taken out of a mold. I mean, just unbelievably ugly trophy. The World Cup, the actual World Cup, and then all that World Cup stuff came down, of course. And the United States got a soft draw, didn't they? As far as group play goes, couldn't have broken any more favorably for them. Many of the heavyweights not involved. What, Australia? Are we afraid of the Kangaroos?
No, no.
Think
Soccer? No.
Australia. Who else is in there? Some other schmink team.
Paraguay, I think, is in their thing, and Paraguay for a while became really good. I don't know what they are now. I don't know the world soccer
Far
level.
be it from us to be discussing with any level of
No idea
expertise the
where- For a
world.
while, I had a decent idea. Now I have no idea.
That's coming up in June, Louis. Should we buy up as many tickets as we can to the various arenas, thinking that
Probably.
we could scalp them and make money?
I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be like. I was super stoked when this was announced 2-3 years ago, 4 years ago. We're in a different place now. Rah rah sis boom ba America is not like, and then also like the way we handle things now is not really good. Like we're not efficient, we're not safe, we don't do what's like in the citizens or the
Trump
residents.
got that highly coveted Peace Prize, though.
Yeah, from
Did you
FIFA.
see that? I didn't even know they had one. What, was this the first year that they issued one?
And it's the last year they'll do it. I just
As
don't
he's
like.
holding up a photo of bombing some poor fisherman out of the Caribbean.
I mean, first of all, they're going to
Lobster tails are
nice
flying
people
all over.
everywhere.
No.
So attending it's going to be an utter disaster. Second, they're not one for planning and properly getting through things. So I don't know how safe it'll be at any of these events. Like I really went from being super excited to forgetting it's coming. Like I'm not. I don't even know if I even care to go. Like it's such. They've sort of ruined it so much with this last 9-10 months that I don't know what it's going to be. Like I really am curious what the hell it's going to be.
I never really cared too much about it one way or the other, whether it was here or anywhere else. I do. I will watch some matches though, Lubie. It's not like. Look, is it part of the job to try and like this stuff? It's almost
Yes.
like Mayo's fetish with Skyline Chili,
Yes,
where no matter how many times you try it, you're like, listen, you like it, great.
it's fine. It's in.
Kind of how I feel about soccer. You like it, great.
Exactly.
It is interesting to see the fever pitch that people observe some of these international teams. That'll be kind of fun. I don't know how significant is it significant at all that Messi won this minor league soccer championship, or is it more of an embarrassment that he was involved in
I
this?
mean, it's fine. At least if
Does
you're
he
going
play
to
for Argentina in the World Cup? Are they even in? I mean, what's the story on that?
they're in, he usually does. I don't know if he still's doing it. I thought last one may have been his Bon Voyage, but he's still playing soccer, so maybe, and he's still playing at a decent high level. So
How do we know he's at a decent level? I mean,
I don't know. I don't
if you
know.
put Scooball and you threw him down in Double A, would you not expect him to strike out the sides every inning?
100%. Yes.
That's how I look at this whole Messi thing, and people are making a big deal of it. I guess since it happened here in our hometown, and there seemed to be some kind of following for it, Lubie. Maybe we're just out of the loop. Is that possible that we shouldn't even be fit to comment on it because we really don't give a flying one about soccer?
I mean, I'll comment it as much as I can. Like, I'm not going to break down players or break down the favorites or any of that stuff.
I couldn't name you a guy. I could barely name you another guy. I'm thinking, can I name you another guy on Inter Miami CF? Suarez? Is there a guy named Suarez?
Suarez is still there.
Yeah.
And I don't know anyone.
Suarez. How about that? I name you two guys on the team. Who's the coach? You know who the coach is?
No idea. They had a coach. He was just
That's
crazy.
little Luca. I mean, if he gives a flying one about soccer, you put that kid into soccer, Lubie, and you're in trouble with me. I don't ever want to see a soccer ball, even like in his crib, like one of those little ones. So, yeah, make sure that this kid does not play soccer. But congratulations anyway are in order. And I'm hoping that Messi throws the party at Wicked Cheesesteaks and just goes out.
Yes, that would be great.
Wings for everybody. It'd be absolutely fantastic. All right, the Dolphins played yesterday. We had a whole NFL slate. We're going to talk to Jason Cole about the National Football League here in just a few minutes. We missed Jason last week, but nice recovery, Louie, as he'll join us today. Very significant happenings around the National Football League, including your red-hot Miami Dolphins. Red-hot, Louie.
Yeah, I mean, not only they're winning, but they actually looked good this week at least.
Destroyed the Jets. The Jets, completely inept effort. Let me ask you a question. Justin Fields, was he injured? Is that the reason he
I
didn't
don't
come?
know. Who was the guy? Who was the guy? I
That
don't
was an
think.
undrafted free agent that they had at quarterback to replace Tyrod Taylor, who's been in the league 100 years. So I don't know that anybody gets overly excited. Oh, man, we get to see Tyrod Taylor play today. Not a bad player. Don't want to take anything away from him. Longevity in the league means a lot, even at a backup quarterback position. But Tyrod Taylor broke in with Don Strock. Not exactly going to add a premium to my desire to pay for seats. So the Jets, though, looked absolutely horrible in this ball game. We can't even criticize Mike McDaniel because it was a non-competitive affair. The Jets' only score came on a punt return near the end of the first half, and you thought, "Wow, here we go again with this Miami Dolphin team." I believe it became 21-7 at that time.
Yes.
But and they're dominating the game. They're up 21-0 in the first quarter, and you're thinking only the Dolphins could keep the Jets hanging around in this game. Where sure enough, if they had gotten the subsequent score after scoring on that punt return, they're right back in the ball game. But it never really happened.
No.
A lot of significant stuff happening around the league. That Cincinnati Buffalo game was fun to watch in the snow. Always enjoy that. It looked like Cincinnati was going to beat the Bills, but the Bills come back 10 points down. Fourth quarter, they come back and win that ball game. How is Jacksonville 9-4? Man, they're a tough team to gauge. 9-4, right? And they annihilate the Colts yesterday, whose season went up in smoke in the process. The Colts, who have now lost 3 in a row, also lose Daniel Jones for the season to one of those Dan Marino torn Achilles, where same thing kind of with Aaron Rodgers when he was with the Jets last year. Takes one step and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe he. How fragile is the Achilles, Lubie? I know I tore one, about a year and change ago, but I mean, how fragile is this particular ligament?
I mean, again, literally, you can take a step
Man,
and it just pops. Like it's weird.
Pop goes the Achilles, and there goes your season. We feel for our man Charlie Partridge, of course, coaching with the Indianapolis Colts. A season that was laden with promise just a few short weeks ago. All of a sudden, looks like it's completely out the window. The Giants are in a position for the number 1 pick. They're horrible. The Jets are drafting right behind them, so it could be New York, New York. Although the Giants, what would they not be inclined to trade that pick? We'll have to ask Jason Cole about this because they feel like they have their quarterback in Jackson Dart. I don't know. Any of these quarterbacks pop up, Lubie, and make you think?
Oh, I can't stand any of the quarterbacks. I even
Pro
Mendoza that
prospects,
everyone
no?
likes. I think Mendoza is like a late first round guy. Like and even then, I don't know what he really is.
How old is I'm just saying there with Ohio State? He
Is he
looks
going?
like
I
he's
think
9
he's a
years
sophomore.
old, this
I
guy.
think he's a sophomore. I think
Really?
he's a true sophomore. Yeah. Like I don't
You
think
look any younger than this kid does? My
yeah,
God.
he looks young as hell. I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think he can go anywhere. Yeah, I don't like any of the quarterbacks. I don't. I mean, I think it's okay. Look, Cam Ward is proving what exactly I said. He was a second round quarterback. Like this thing, you don't have to force guys up. If a guy isn't there, a guy's not there. Like some guys are just not. They may eventually get there, but if you draft a guy in the top 10, you have to start them somewhat soon. And none of these. I mean, Mendoza is a nice quarterback, and in a real class, he'd be like a second, third round pick. Like they're gonna force 2 or 3 guys up. I don't like any of these quarterbacks. Like I don't think any of them are like starting anytime soon, guys.
Are we ready to concede New England to be the best team in the league? Is that possible? Come on, Louis.
I don't know. I don't know who is because the Ravens are a mess.
Yet.
The Bills should have lost to the Bengals. They found a way
Chiefs
to win.
are
Chiefs are
likely
done.
going to miss the postseason. Are you
Not a
kidding me?
playoff team. Yeah, I don't know. Look in the AFC, it's worked out really well for the Patriots. They turned it around in the perfect year because there's no one really good. The AFC is sort of like the Jags. Like who? I don't believe the Jags. I don't know
Jags
what
look great one week, and then they look great in portions of games, and then look horrible in the same game. It's pretty incredible. All right, we're going to come back. Jason Cole scheduled to join us here on the show. Jason, of course, the 33rd team, longtime NFL insider, and one of our favorite guys on the program. He should be with us when we come back in a moment. Now that
The time.
Mike McDaniel, coach of the year, man. It's 8:33.
There you go.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Joe Bees. The bees collect the pollen, bring it to Joe, he packages it, and he gets it to you. It's simple, 100% natural, and it's good for you.
There's only one place to get Joe Bees, and that's from me. Joe B.
If you want to look and feel good, call 877-300-5632.
To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep, no more, and by asleep to say we end the heartache and 1,000 natural shocks.
What could that have been about except
Gambling.
to hedge or not to hedge?
The modern day odd couple, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. Feel yourself on Mount Monday here. Jason Cole going to join us in about a minute, and we'll get into some things concerning, of course, the National Football League. As we've already concluded, hard to believe, Lubie, Week 14 is just about in the books. We do have the Philadelphia Eagles, at the Chargers tonight? Philadelphia Eagles and the Chargers, and I'm going to be needing the Eagles to come through here just in my personal bookmaking venture. With my buddy. This is being manned, this desk, by our good friend, Paulie Man. He's still very much involved with the program, Lubie, although we're doing it almost exclusive. Well, exclusive. We haven't seen him in how long? When was the last time we saw the Paulie Man? When we were doing that stuff with that guy that had the studio?
Came one time for that show. I haven't seen him. Yeah. What's it, 4 years? Yeah, it's been like 3 years. I haven't seen the Paulie Man in like 3 years.
Is it in this warehouse district? That was you're already on the set. The cameras are rolling. I think I'm here, but I'm not sure. Anyway, he's been manning the Defo Research Institute when it comes to degenerate factors and studying certain trends that are taking place in the NFL. The Dolphins now are over in after 5 straight unders. The Dolphins go over in their ball game yesterday. The Ravens have had 4 straight against the spread losses. The Bengals 3 straight against the spread wins. The Texans 3 straight ATS wins, 4 straight unders. The Jags 4 straight against the spread wins. The Chiefs 5 straight against the spread losses. Lubie, the Chiefs, Andy Reid. I bet you were throwing chicken tenders at the screen there, thinking about. How disgusting that is. 5 straight against the spread losses. Washington 1-7 in their last 8 against the spread. I had them yesterday, of course. They got hammered. Green Bay 3 straight against the spread victories. The Vikings 5 straight unders. Tampa Bay 5 consecutive against the spread losses. New Orleans over after 8 straight unders. They broke that spell yesterday. And Seattle 7-1 the last 8 versus the spread. All right, with that. Speaking of spreads, man, I don't know if this guy was putting a little schmear on a bagel this morning, but interesting story as I related from our good friend Chip Namias, former PR director of the Dolphins, many other clubs, Texans, Oilers, I guess they were at the time, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then he went on to a great heights and riches publicizing these sports movies. So good guy, and he travels around a lot, and he's entrenched in his loyalty to the Florida Gators. And he's telling a story about how, I was going to get a bagel in Gainesville, and I see this guy that I recognized as a long-time, very distinguished NFL writer, and he's cleaning trash off the floor and bussing tables in this restaurant, this bagel shop in Gainesville, for God's sake. And Chip, being the gentleman that he is, was wondering, Lubie, and I don't know, what would you have done in this situation? Would you have approached the guy, or would you have thought that, oh, this poor guy was like at the top of the media charts? I mean, everybody wanted Super Bowls, right? Hey, Jason, get over here. Hey, Jason, you got 5 minutes? How about 5 minutes? We've known you forever. And so he thought,
Call.
you're jumping in here early on this story, Jason?
Oh, sorry. No, sorry. I didn't mean to do that. There was a customer literally yelling at me whether I was on a break or not. And because,
it's right in with what we're talking about.
Break or not. So I'm on a break right now. So there you go.
I'm on a break.
Very good. Yeah. So Chip said he was a little nervous about approaching you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he thought, well, geez, maybe he's embarrassed, and be like, 20 years from now, I don't know. All work is good work, but maybe you catch Lubie driving an Uber, and he's taking you from the airport in a ratty-looking car, and you're thinking, well, geez, what happened to this guy? But then he came to find out, Jason, not only where you always engaging in conversation, but that you own the place. So congratulations.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Yeah, but that was interesting because he was actually concerned that he didn't want to necessarily put you in an embarrassing spot because you had this job as a busboy at a bagel shop in Gainesville. You're all you've done in a media.
When you own a bagel shop, you do a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
and you gotta make it look nice. You gotta make it look nice, and you got to engage with the customers. Yeah. So,
Mayo's did the same thing.
You were busy. Yeah. I could tell Chip had this kind of sheepish look on his face, like
he felt so bad.
Wow, it's Jason, and like, Chip, hey, what's up? And and he's
classic.
Like, oh, you want to talk to me? I'm like, yeah, Chip, I want to talk to you. I want to sell you a lot of bagels.
Yeah, exactly.
Take a dozen with you while you're at it, you cheap bastard. Yeah,
he did actually buy a dozen. So
nice.
He was not a cheap bastard. He did that. So there you go. Yeah, but
excellent.
No, it was cute and funny, and we talked for a while. And yeah, I think he was a little bit surprised that I owned the place, and that I was not down on my luck.
Which would have been the more common.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, trust me. If you're betting, which you do a lot of, Defo, you would have taken down on luck.
So thank God it's not.
You were lost, and you do a lot of that.
Exactly.
But
yeah, that was a great story you told, and it was in social media, and I could just picture the scene because I probably would have felt a little. You don't want to necessarily embarrass a guy. Not that it's embarrassing to be doing anything, like I said. All right, week 14 going to conclude tonight. Eagles and the Chargers, but anything? What were your most significant takeaways? Obviously, Daniel Jones getting injured. Looks like the Ravens and the Chiefs, both of them probably going to be out of the playoffs the way they're playing. What really stood out to you this past week?
I'm not sure I believe that the Steelers are going to be like rolling the. Like I don't know that they're going to all of a sudden just roll through the final 4 games of the season. So, the Ravens are still kind of there, not in good position, but obviously. I just don't trust. I don't trust any team in that division, even though going into the season you would have said that's an incredibly strong division, but I don't trust any of them. So right now, there's just there's too much up in the air about all of them. I think tonight's really, really important. We'll get to that in a minute. The Chiefs have a lot of work to do because if I'm them, you can think about this season and say, is your hope still alive for this year? And if you get into the playoffs, you got an experienced quarterback. You can play that game in your mind. But I think that if you look at them over the last almost 2 full seasons now, and the big thing is their offensive line has been in disarray, and they tried to fix that with Simmons a little bit. And, and they've been trying to patchwork that together. But when you watch them play, nothing is easy right now. Like 5-6 years ago when they were playing, like it all looked really easy. Like Mahomes would get back there, he'd throw on time, people were open. Now everything is a struggle to guys to get open, to get any yardage in the running game. And I don't think it's because the offense is outdated. I think that the guys who play in that offense have either regressed because of age, which is Travis Kelce. I mean, that's going to naturally happen. There's no shame in what's going on with Travis Kelce. But there's a failure of some of the younger guys. I would say like Xavier Worthy has not come along the way they expected. And Rashee Rice, I mean, people love to talk about Rashee Rice. I'm like, he ain't Jerry Rice. All right, okay, let's stop this. He was when he came into the league, he was a really nice number 3. He's still a really nice number 3. He's never going to progress beyond that. And they put him in this role where he's a 2, and he can kind of get by that way, but he's not good enough. And I think some of it comes back to their running game is so pedestrian to poor that teams can just say, well, look, we'll drop in the coverage. And if they try to run with Kareem Hunt or Isaiah Pacheco, we'll just rally and tackle them for a 3-yard gain because those guys aren't going to hurt us. So there's some of that affects guys like Worthy and Rice, but there's also a decided lack of larger ability, if that makes sense. Like they just don't. Again, they don't make the game look easy. If that makes sense.
So I'll ask you what Defo asked me, and being a fan of a team that's been mediocre to bad for feels like 20 years, maybe longer. It's annoying to see this team go from 4 wins to this in one off season, hiring one coach. But are the Patriots the best team in the AFC? And if so, how? How from last year to this? Is Mike Vrabel's that big of a genius? Like, why was he out of coach? Like, are the Patriots the best team in the AFC, and how? I'll just leave it there.
Well, Drake May's a really good player, right? So you start with Drake May. He's really good. I don't know if he's great, but he's really good. He's also really good at a time when overall quarterbacking is suffered. Like the depth of quarterbacking has decreased. And on top of that, like it's a bad year for Lamar Jackson. Joe Burrow has, got hurt again. Aaron Rodgers is in further decline. Mahomes, we talk about, is not getting any help. So all of a sudden, a lot of people are regressing to the norm, and he's stretching beyond it. So those two things are working in unison, where he looks a whole lot better than I think he really is. If you put him in an era with the Mannings and Breeze and Brady and all those guys, I don't think he's quite there. He's certainly not there yet.
Yeah.
Okay, but in a mediocre year, and I think if you look around the NFL, it's a mediocre year. He's a step above that, and they're beating the teams that they're supposed to beat. If you look at Mike Vrabel and the way that he coached in Tennessee, he's very smart about, do the normal things well. Like one of the things that Belichick was really good at is you don't have to make it overly complicated all the time. Yeah, you don't have to draw up a bunch of really great plays. Just do the basic things really well. Like the whole "do your job" mantra isn't just about doing all the specific things that we ask you to do. It's do the simple things. Do the basics. And if you do the basics well in the NFL, generally you're going to be around 500. Yep. And then there's going to be some magical years where everything comes together and you're going to go way beyond that. I think that's the kind of key for Mike Vrabel. And that's what he did in Tennessee, when he had Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill at their best, is they're a solid team, really good defense that made the most out of those guys. Now, if you start to give him more talented people, say like along the lines of a Dan Campbell, who's got so much talent in Detroit, and you're now allowed to do extraordinary things, we'll see how he does. But right now they do the basics really well. And I think that he knows that as a former player who played that way, and as a former player who played that way under a genius of a coach who emphasized those simple things being done year after year after year after year.
I was kind of mocked, Jason, as you would imagine, by the legions of fans that we have here on the show for stating at the time that the Dolphins were the best 1-5 team in the National Football League. They eventually became the best 2-7 team in the National Football League.
Are you trying to argue that you're somehow vindicated?
I believe so. I don't see anybody else that's matching up.
Is this some long, elaborate, like, Defo moment as we try to justify that I was a genius at the time that I said that the Dolphins were, going into that deep analysis? I mean,
yes.
I've heard that before.
Yes, and here we sit, though, with a 6-7 surging Dolphin team. We did the Tony Segreto thing. I know you were probably a big fan of this also.
Who they beaten? Just remind me who they beat.
They can only beat the teams that are on their schedule. I'm going to go to a cliche.
There you go.
No. Actually list
they didn't make the schedule, Jason. They can only beat the teams that are in front.
I actually list the teams that they have beaten.
I can't even remember because I have
the Bills. The Bills are one of those.
The Saints with a big win.
No. You know exactly who they've beaten because that would have been part of the diatribe in case there was some proof of the element that you were trying to make in the first place to say that you were so right about them being the best 1-6 team.
I don't think there was any doubt about that.
Look at who they have actually beaten. This team. And then you looked at it and you said, oh, yeah, it's a bunch of schlups. Never mind. That's not going to be part of the platform of my argument. Yeah. So, I mean, look, they're playing better football. Give them credit and give, McDaniels credit for, keeping those guys, on board. And that's a great thing.
Yeah.
And, he wasn't a terrible coach at the time. He was a terrible coach running things and things went poorly, right?
Yes.
He's a smart coach. And I think that there's going to be a time somewhere in his career, and maybe that will remain in Miami, because maybe he saved a job in Miami with the Surge. Okay. Maybe it'll be where everything comes together and he sort of gets it. And he goes from being the opposite end of the Mike Vrabel, which is the guy who's trying to reinvent the wheel all the time and come up with the genius play all the time and try and find, okay, here's the perfect play. It's like, I appreciate that and the enthusiasm, and I love the people who think that way. But that's not percentage football. It's sort of like, if you go back to Kyle Shanahan, who is McDaniel's mentor, right?
Yes.
Kyle Shanahan, as great a coach as he is,
always does that.
Screwed up a Super Bowl victory for Atlanta against the Patriots, right, in that game, because he, instead of saying, let's just take the mundane play in a couple of situations, there were 3 specific plays in that game, and I don't want to go over that because I've done it over 1,000 times. I don't want to go over each one of those plays.
Yeah.
But there's 3 key plays in that game where he chose to call the perfect play rather than the meathead play, the percentage play. And sometimes people need to understand football, for all the genius that applies to it, and it is chess with human beings, for all that genius, it is also sometimes just a meathead operation where you slam up into the middle and you run the clock and you put yourself in the best position to just kick a field goal.
Yes.
Like sometimes that's all you want to do. And so McDaniels is at the opposite end of that spectrum, the guy trying to reinvent the wheel. And Vrabel's at the other end going, okay, this is the percentages we play. And then when I get more exotic players and I get better players, I'll be able to do some other things. It's just, again, I think McDaniels can be a terrific coach. I like a lot of things about him. I also like, I don't think he takes himself too seriously, which I think is really cool. Okay. And that tends to work long term more than the opposite end of the spectrum. But you do have to win games, and they're winning games. They're beating a weaker schedule. It's working fine right now. And unless, Sean McDermott or a John Harbaugh gets fired somewhere, he probably keeps his job, because who are you going to go get? Like if you go get somebody else, you just going to have to reshape the entire roster. And that's no fun. Now, the other question the bigger question in this one is, if you keep McDaniel, what are you doing with Tua? And I think that you have to come to the conclusion that Tua's not, when Tua has played in bigger games this season and not against the schlubs, he's still the same guy, and that's not good enough. So you have to come up with a plan for what are you going to do at quarterback.
See, my curiosity is, what do you do at GM? As like, good personnel people usually don't want to be forced a quarterback. Like McDaniel clearly, which is why Dolphin fans didn't want, is clearly coaching himself into keeping the job. Okay, can you then still get a high quality personnel / front office guy with that? Because that seems to be what the Dolphins do time and time again. Pick the GM that they're keeping. Now you go get a coach. Okay, you pick the coach. Now we're going to go. Like, the organizations that usually win, usually it's in concert. Can they keep McDaniel and still get a high-quality GM?
Well, yeah, you can. I mean, look, people want these jobs. Like, they're high-paying jobs.
Okay.
What I think you need to do is, what I would be doing is looking at a list of people who have worked with guys like Kyle Shanahan, with Sean McVay. I mean, and some of those guys have been spread out. Like Holmes is up in Detroit now. He was with the Rams. Adam Peters is down in Washington. He was with the 49ers. But I would be looking for guys like that who McDaniels probably knows from somewhere along the line, and so that they have some familiarity and say, okay, this is the kind of player that you like. They don't have to have agreement, and you don't want to have necessarily a yes man, but you want to get a GM who believes in this philosophy, if this is the philosophy you're continuing with. Now, I would always caution this is, if you're staying with McDaniel, stay with McDaniel. Like that, like commit to this and say, we're going to do this for 3, 4, 5 more years, and do it this way, and get a GM who can work with them that way, right? Don't do the up and down thing where you hire a GM and knows how to work with him, but you're not so shot up about McDaniels that you're like, okay, maybe we'll only keep him for 1 more year, right? Like that's where you really get yourself into a lot of trouble, if you're just not very consistent on both ends. So if you're re-upping with McDaniels and you're saying you believe in this guy, you're going to go the sort of Baltimore-Pittsburgh direction of, we're going to have consistency at this position. We're not going to change. We're going to keep the head coach in place, and we're going to get a GM to go with him, to work in concert with him. That's the part that you got to commit to a philosophy and stay with it. And again, with McDaniels, my only concern with McDaniels is always like, are you going to play physical football? Because they don't really play physical football, and they're not. And you can say some of that's okay in the first 2 or 3 games of the season because of the way that people coach during training camp. But this extended on into the first week 4, 5, and 6, where they just were not physical. They've become more physical as the season has gone along. Some of that is because they're playing weaker opponents.
They were clearly the best 1-5 team in football at the time.
You have that script there ready.
Exactly.
You are dying. You are so badly wanting to read that script. You had it ready. You worked on it. Like you stayed up an extra hour later. This is brilliant. Let me tell you what, I was right 7 weeks ago. Oh, you idiots out there. You've never listened to Defo. You don't respect me. You don't love me, and you should.
How do you know Defo so well?
Non-believers, all of these fools that were out there.
I've seen this routine. Yeah.
All right, let me ask you this, Jason Cole, because we were trying to figure this out. It doesn't seem like there's that surefire, can't miss generational talent at quarterback coming out of the college ranks. How valuable, and the Giants, who are in a position to draft number 1 right now, feel like they have their quarterback in Jackson Dart, and they went out of their way to get him, and he's acquitted himself when he's been in the lineup at a very decent level to make you believe that they don't need a quarterback in the draft. So how valuable would that number 1 pick be in light of whatever it doesn't seem like there's a guy that all of these pro teams are drooling over at the QB position. How valuable is that number 1 overall pick this year?
Right now, not very valuable. It's not like you're not going to get a truckload for this. This is the one where you sit there and I always love the people who are like, oh, look at the trade value chart. You can get this and this and this.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the player worth going up for is good,
Yep.
sure, you can get that. If the player is up there is not worth that much, you have to trade for a lot. You have to trade for a lot less, and you just have to live with that. So I don't think it's going to be that kind of year. We'll see who emerges as a top defensive end or offensive tackle. Those are usually the kinds of guys that you take at number 1 overall if there's no quarterback. I don't think there's anybody out there who's so singularly talented that they're running away from the rest of the pack. So that number 1 pick, I would bet on it staying with whoever ends up number 1 overall. Giants are that team for right now.
Hey, Jason, break's over. Let's get back to work. Oh, you wouldn't be yelling at it.
You got to do it. You got that's Chip. See, I'm afraid if I did the Chip Namius impersonation, it would sound more like Harvey Green, and that's not fair to Chip.
There is a similarity there. I mean,
although Chip does, there's some similarity and that's why Chip does such a spot on Harvey.
As a great Harvey Green.
Oh, he does a fantastic Harvey Green because it's in him. It really is in him.
Anything more? Yeah. Come on, guys.
Well, yeah, come on.
Harvey.
Yeah. This is a Shecky Green thing. That's what this is.
I've heard Chip's.
Shecky and Harvey probably were related. That's probably true.
I wouldn't doubt it.
All right. Great stuff as always, Jason. We appreciate you taking time out of your day there. I was thinking if you didn't tell him you own the place, Chip might have slipped you 100, but
I should have held on.
You should have laughed.
I would have just said, man, I can't believe I
goes, hey, you're in hard times. I go, oh, thanks. Yeah, by the way, I'll pay off the debt on the loan when I bought the place. Thank you. Thanks, Chip. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Always a pleasure, Jason. Have fun. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks so much for being with us. Jason Cole, ladies and gentlemen. All right, that was fun. You didn't run to buy my theory about the Phins. I was right, Lubie. They were the best.
You were right. Obviously, they've won 4 in a row. And they did throw in demolishing the Bills in there. Now, again, I don't know what the hell the Bills are, but
Bills, wow, you talk about cockamamie results. And it looked like they were beaten badly in this game, didn't it?
Yes.
They were getting badly outplayed. They're down 28-18, which was somewhat of a miracle. You would think that the elements all were in favor of the Buffalo Bills yesterday with the snow that was coming down there and the Cincinnati Bengals just getting Joe Burrow back. I always thought it was an advantage, Lubie. See, now you didn't play a lot of games in inclement weather. I mean, maybe rain. Did you play a lot in mud, sandlot football even, where I always felt it was a huge advantage for the offensive player to be playing in adverse conditions. I don't know. Well, what was your feeling about that? Snow, I thought, wow. I mean, as a wide receiver or even a running back, if you get into so-called space and have to maybe juke out 1 or 2 guys, great advantage to the offensive player. You know where you're going. And they don't.
Oh, yeah. Weather's always an advantage, or it's supposed to be. I mean, rain, I guess, is tough for passing, but you know what's going on. They don't.
That's what it looked like. I mean, that had overwritten all over it, and that's the way it came out. But somehow the Bungles managed to bungle it away. Wow. And lose that ball game. So the Buffalo Bills stay somewhat upright after Week 14. Denver, again, I mean, another non-covering win, narrow win, should have been a blowout against the Raiders, who are awful, and they managed to win that game. And we'll see what happens tonight. I don't know. Any thoughts? Are the Eagles a shot team at this point, Lubie? The Chargers always enigmatic.
Yeah, it's 2 very, very weird teams. The Chargers seem to be coming on. The Eagles seem to be struggling, but it feels like either of those teams can switch roles at any point. I have no idea what to do with that game.
Yeah, so I wanted to run these other games by him, though. See, now, Pittsburgh, you would have thought the Dolphins beat Pittsburgh, except they gave a great account of themselves yesterday. And with Aaron Rodgers performing well after one of the schlub games of his career, Pittsburgh comes back and resurrects themselves from the dead. So maybe that's more of a challenge than it looks like. Cincinnati, that's on the road. Cincinnati capable of beating the Miami Dolphins because they can put up a lot of points. They have no defense whatsoever.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay doesn't look like it did.
Oh, they're struggling.
They're staggering around. They lose to the Saints
struggling.
yesterday outright. Ridiculous.
Yeah,
And
they're
New
struggling.
England may be playing that last game for nothing. So what if the Dolphins went from 2-7 to running the table with an 8-game winning streak, Lubie?
I don't know. It's doable. I mean, I don't know what to do.
Out of the realm of possibilities. Probably.
I don't know what to do with it. I'm not a fan of it because I still don't think they're a good team. But if you can win.
Wow. Then what do we say about Mike McDaniel? And it was
He'll be the
Chris
coach
Carroll
next year.
wrong, man.
My chagrin.
They should bring in Dale Talon to.
Yeah, there you go.
That'd be perfect. You crossover sports. All right, we're going to get out of here. Thanks so much for being with us. From Mike Lubie Lubitz, young Luca was well behaved today. Jason Cole, our guest on the program. We'll do it again tomorrow. Thanks for being with us. I'm Jeff DeForest. We'll see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
He had me there too. I had my notes, Lubie. I had my whole thing proving that I was right about them being the best 1-5 team in football. And you know that's what we're all about here on the show. We want to prove that we were right.
Yes.
With a
That's our thing.
ridiculous, ludicrous statement that people are
Always.
for.
Def.
Yeah, sure, they're DeForest. They're the best 1-5 team. How many 1-5 teams are there, you asshole?
Exactly.
I think there were a couple at the time. All right, we're going to get out of here. Thanks for being with us as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:05.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.